have to promote the trade in rupees and in rubbles. We see that the turnover between two countries is stably growing. Cooperation between the Russian payment system MIR and Indian payment system RuPay. We have to use both platforms. I think that India has a very good perspective in assembling different opinions. To my mind, we have the prosperous time nowadays, and we see that the turnover between two countries is stably growing. For us, it's a good sign, and it seems to me that we have to facilitate the relationship in the field of financial transactions. That is one of the issues that still hampers to overcome some obstacles. To my mind, we should also cooperate in the field of digitalization, especially in such solutions that, for example, Moscow can present to our partners in India, like smart city, like safe city. You have the same program for creating much more favorable environment and comfortable environment. And we think that the products that we already applied in Moscow and introduced in healthcare, in education, in the city management, in the city construction, in analyzing of huge massives of data, that can also be our contribution to the partnership with Indian huge metropolises.
You did touch upon the important aspect of India rupee and ruble trade, which has been talked about. What's your take on it, and when can we realize this? Is it in the pipeline? Is it going to happen? Can you just talk about that?
I think that our banks should be much more active in establishing a relationship between each other, and we have to promote the trade in rupees and in rubles, because it creates a much more stable platform for our companies, because nowadays they have a lot of doubts for the cross-border transactions, and to use, for example, dollar or euro, that brings you to a lot of losses, because you lose commission, sometimes your money are blocked, sometimes compliance is not giving you permission for the transactions, and that really hampers for the growth of our bilateral trade.
In your speech itself, you touched upon the oil aspect as well, and the amount of investment from India in terms into the Russian oil. How much is the amount right now, the Indian investment in Russia, and what do you think the future ahead in this?
I know that India invested into the project of Sakhalin and production of liquid gas in Sakhalin. You have some ideas to invest also in the north, and you have some investment in Siberia. So I think that is the strategy of India, to be independent from, and to avoid some risks and hedge some risks for the delivery of oil products to India. And the cooperation in this field is very productive. You know that Rosneft invested a lot into the biggest refinery in India, and we stably deliver the products, and we showed to the business community that we are a very stable partner in that field.
So bank sanctions are also there across the world for the Russian bank. So how will Russia cope up with that and also improve the relationship with India in this regard? What's going to be the way ahead for us?
Sometimes it's a challenge how to find a way out of this situation, but a lot depends on the position on sovereign banks like RBI and the Central Bank of Russia. And it seems to me they should be much more active in establishing the special platform that will make possible quick transactions between two countries. We have very good prospects in cooperation between the Russian payment system MIR and Indian payment system RuPay. We have to use both platforms for that, especially that can boost the tourism between countries.
You touched upon the turnaround numbers. How much are you expecting or the target by end of this year? How much has been the turnaround? Can you just talk us about the numbers?
That's really not a good thing to make any forecast. I expect that bilateral trade will be on the level of 50 billion and maybe even more. And I think that for that we have all the perspectives.
Last up would be India is also holding the G20 presidency. How do you look at India's role in developing in this aspect? Because there are multiple countries also involved, and it's very important for India and Russia. So, how do you look at the G20 presidency of India?
I think that India has a very good perspective in assembling different opinions and in moderating the conversation between G20 countries, and especially in the field of cooperation between huge metropolises. And we think that we have good perspectives for promoting the Moscow experience for G20 cities in smart cities, safe city solutions, in education and healthcare, in sustainable development and ECG goals.